In this episode, we have another installment of the Visionary Sip, where we sit down and talk with social media travel and by Black influencer Dr. Christina Afia, known on social media as Dr. Afia Abroad. She will share some of her amazing journey in the space that she has created, tell us a little about the different countries she's traveled over the years, how it has contributed to her journey, and the way she loves and supports by Black spending power. So get ready to be inspired, get your sip ready, get your eat ready, and let's get ready for the Visionary Sip with Dr. Christina Afia. Hello, sippers. Get ready for the S.E.T podcast where we sip, eat, talk, the ultimate blend of flavors and conversations. I'm Gina, your host, culinary enthusiast, and spirited conversationalist. Each episode will explore diverse topics, share laughs, and savor the moment with special guests. Sip on insights, eat up knowledge, and join the conversation. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and YouTube at Sip Eat Talk Podcast. Subscribe now for a journey that's as delicious as it is insightful. Let's sip, eat, and talk together. Cheers! Hello, sippers. Welcome to the S.E.T podcast where we sip, eat, talk. I'm your host, Gina. Whether you are sipping on your favorite champagne, wine, cocktail, mocktail, energy drink, coffee, or tea, you are a sipper. You are sipping it with me, and I'm glad to have you. The audio podcast can be found on 16 different platforms. Check out pod.link for a listing. We're found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts, just to name a few. Please follow us on social media at Sip Eat Talk Podcast. You can follow me, your host, Gina, on Instagram, and I am Gina Gibson. Super excited for the sipping and set today. I love to share with you all what I am sipping and eating on for the episode. Today is extra special. You all know that I'm a wine drinker. I love wine, I love champagne, and I love a good charcuterie board. But today is extra special because I have my charcuterie board today on, that's right, the custom Sip Eat Talk charcuterie board. They are here. They are in. Get ready. We are ready to share them with you. There will be a link in the description. You can visit us at sipeattalklife.com. That's sipeattalklife.com. Get your order in. They will be ready for sale on a Friday. We look so forward to sharing this with you and more items to come. But this charcuterie board, it is just amazing. You see it, sip the wine glass, eat that fork talk. I hope that you can enjoy it this summer with your family, your friends, your girlfriends coming over. You can make it a dessert board, a snack board. Somebody even said a buffalo wing board, whatever you're into. We hope that you enjoy those boards. I have mine today. I have everything. I have all the elements and all the colors. I have stuffed olives with feta. I have this amazing habanero pepper jack cheese. I have my rosemary crackers. I have turkey pepperoni. I have turkey lunch meat, carrots, bell peppers, tomatoes, craisins, you name it. We have that all going on today with a little bit of ranch dressing just to seal the deal. And I have paired that today with the Black Girl Magic Rosé. So that's right, I'm having the Black Girl Magic Rosé today with my charcuterie board. It was hard for me not to get my little nibble on before we go. That's really good. And sippers, I want to know, what are you sipping and eating on for the episode? Remember to tag us on Instagram at Sip Eat Talk Podcast and let us see photos of what you are sipping and eating on for the episode. I'm really excited for the Visionary Sip today. When I started the podcast, I had a list of people that I had in mind that I wanted to have on the podcast. And Dr. Afia was someone that I had on a list. I'm excited for her to be on here. She has a doctorate from Temple in Africology. She is a diversity and inclusion professional. But how many of us have been introduced to her is just her amazing content that she shares as an influencer on social media. She's been to over 40 countries, and in her journeys and in her travels, she is someone that highly supports Black businesses, Black products, to events that are going on. She keeps us in the loop. And so I can't wait for you all to meet her. So raise your glass with me and get ready for the Visionary Sip with Dr. Christina Afia, better known as Dr. Afia Abroad. Cheers! Christina Afia. Welcome to the S.E.T podcast. I am so happy to have you.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
You are all summertime glowing. You always have the biggest, prettiest smile. You need to find a Black business owner that deals in whitening strips so you can shout them out because your teeth are gorgeous. Well, they already know what I am sipping on for the episode. Let me know what you're over there sipping on for the episode.
Listen, I got my Sauvignon Blanc here. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Let me
You're most welcome. So let's cheers it up for a good episode.
Okay. Cheers.
Mm.
And I have to say that this was too cute. I absolutely love this.
That's our
Thank you
new
so
custom
much.
charcuterie board. You like your board?
My summer picnics. I'm gonna have this out and my little charcuterie spread. So
Well,
I'm excited.
good. I have mine here with me today. Well, I'm glad you like it, and I hope that you get good use out of it. Because what I know for you, I know you will sip and eat and have some great conversation.
Definitely will.
So it's funny, like if people connecting know you, know who you are. I have adopted you, as I'm sure many have, as one of Philly's own, but you are not from Philly originally. So what is the hometown, and how did you make the transition to Philly?
So I'm originally from Harrisburg. Well, I was born in Gary, Indiana, but I was only there for 5 years. Don't know much about it. I grew up in Harrisburg, so that's where I call home.
Okay.
I came to Philly in 2010 to complete my doctorate at Temple University. So that's what brought me here, and I love it. I stayed, and I've been a Philly John ever since.
Philly John ever since. So what was that transition like, coming from Harrisburg, transitioning to North Philadelphia where Temple sits?
So it was crazy, but it was great. Philly driving scared me a little bit. The first week I
I'm from
moved
Philly and it
here,
scares me a little bit.
listen, somebody rear-ended me, hopped over into opposing traffic to escape, skirt, and got away. And I was just like, what just happened?
Welcome to Philadelphia. Welcome to Philadelphia. That's funny. I love it. I love it. And so growing up in Harrisburg, because a lot of times we meet people on social media this day and age, and we meet you all in the lanes that you operate in. And so when I see you and I think about where you come from, I'm like, she's this beautiful African queen and all of her glory and beauty. Was that you when you were in Harrisburg? If we met middle school, high school, Christina, did you always celebrate your African beauty?
Absolutely not. That was definitely part of my evolution. I grew up, my dad was very much into teaching us African American history.
Okay.
That's part of what he taught as a college professor.
Oh, so
I
you come
was
from
just
college
like,
professor. Okay.
I was raised around a lot of white people though. So that's why he was so insistent about teaching us.
Okay.
But I didn't have the cultural background and I did not get it. I didn't see the need for it. Like I just, I thought I was kind of colorblind, I think a little bit.
Okay.
And it wasn't until I went off to college and started learning a little bit more. Philadelphia, Temple and Philadelphia is really what shaped me and what made me into a completely different person. When I got into my doctoral program, I was learning all the history, and then I was interacting with all sorts of different types of Black people in Philly, from your, neighborhood people in North Philly, the educated people, the international Black people, all different types, queer Black people, all these people that I hadn't interacted with in my day-to-day life in Harrisburg. And so that really broadened my horizon. And then, of course, the travel added to that as well.
So let's go back for a minute. So you have your bachelor's when you transition to Philly. Let our listeners know what you studied when you went to Temple for your PhD.
So my bachelor was in English education, and I started off as an English teacher in Harrisburg, taught 11th grade English, and came and did that in Philly at a little charter school near Broad and Olney. But my master's and my PhD was in Africology and African American studies. Temple University had the very first PhD program in Black studies in the 80s. Shout out to my mentor, Malefi Asante, who started that and who mentored me through the program. So, that's what brought me here. And that's when I really started getting into the Black history.
Well, let's go back. What was the inspiration behind that? Was there a key factor or some significant event that caused you to take that path with your master's and doctorate?
Yeah, so it was actually my students. When I was teaching high school, that's when I started to really get into Black history. I took a course on the literature of enslavement, and I thought it was so cool to be able to study Black people academically. I
Okay.
was always an academic. I was always loved school. Knew I wanted to be a teacher when I was young, and so that really excited me. And I ended up developing a curriculum for my high school on African American literature. But I also just taught that in the regular American literature. This is part of American literature. We're going to
I
learn it,
love
y'all.
it.
The school is, about 50% Black. Y'all need to know this. And so
Yes.
they saw my passion for it and they were like, you should really go to school for this. You should really, go and learn more about this. And I knew that I loved education and wanted to be in a setting where I could do a deeper dive into the subjects that I was passionate about and not have to
Mhm.
do all the classroom management, sit down, be quiet, do
That's
this
right.
packet. But let's really dive in and learn and have some stimulating conversations. So that's what led to it. And I'm so grateful.
I love that. When I went to college, shout out to Morrisburg College, Atlanta, Georgia.
Yes.
My world history professor, Mama Coco Selassie, she taught us world history. And the first day that we walked into our classroom, she said, "This is African history because your world history is African history, and you will know that." And so I shout out all educators, professors, those in academia that take moments to do that, because you help to inspire a generation of people who may not have known, been in tune with subjects they wouldn't even have known to look at and study if not for that. But I'm wondering, in that moment when you did that, you wrote that curriculum, did you recognize that as vision?
I didn't at that point in time.
You
I
didn't.
definitely did not. I saw the importance of what I was doing in that moment, but I
Mhm.
had no idea of the ramifications and where that would lead me.
I know. It sounds like it was like the foundation, like just building up. So you transition, you come to Philly, you're at Temple, you're just enjoying the experience from what you shared. Give me a little bit of the travel. When did that start? Was that in Harrisburg? Was that growing up? Was that in adulthood? Where were you when that journey began?
So it was two part. It started in childhood. My father was an evangelist, and
Okay.
so he traveled and preached for a living. And we traveled right around with him. I was homeschooled, so we were tied to any place. We had an RV. We hit the road, we were out. My
Okay.
first international trip was to the Bahamas when I was maybe 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm.
So it had been a lifestyle for me. As an adult, it became something that I knew I was interested in for myself when I did my study abroad program to Ghana during my master's program.
Okay.
And that was absolutely life changing for me. And that's when I knew I'm doing more of this.
Tell us about a pivotal moment of something that happened in Ghana that was life changing for you.
So the one thing that I always go back to was something that I wasn't. They prepped us a lot for this trip. You got to understand it's different. There's cultural differences, your American privilege, all of that. And so I thought I was prepared. But one thing that I really took away that I hadn't been expecting to was when I got there and I realized that I had a very different feeling that I never felt before. And as
Mm.
trying to put my finger on it, I realized that I was experiencing for the very first time what it meant not to be a minority.
Ooh, wow.
And I had never considered it. Like it's just always been part of my lived experience.
Mhm.
And so I'm just like,
Mm,
this is what white people feel like all the time.
chills, right.
And it was so different because I'm in a place where everyone looks like me,
Mhm,
from the president down to, the people who are unhoused, everyone in between looks just like me. And so it removes a lot of that tension that you're not even aware exists
mhm.
in your day-to-day interactions with folks, just in how you move throughout space, in knowing that the whole group looks like you.
Right, right. I love that. I feel like that's how I felt when I landed in Atlanta for college with the HBCU experience, because I
Mhm.
was always at a school where we were never the majority, or it was kind of even 50, 40, 45, 55, something of that nature. And so I had chills when you said that. It's like, this is a beautiful thing to see. All these beautiful Black people, and I love to tell people before I would have people that would discourage me before I went to school and say, you know, the world's not all Black. Why would you want to school? It's not all Black. But guess what? All Black people are not the same. Do you know how much diversity exists amongst us? Just
Mhm.
meeting people, you know, international students from other places. I mean, people who had nannies and butlers bringing them to school and dropping them off. I mean, we lived all kind of lifestyles, and so I love that. I love that sparked something in you. So set me up for where you are when this, you know, we're not telling ages, but they know my age. I would tell y'all how Dr. Afia took a shot at me with my age, but I'm gonna save that story for another day. You came at me with the double barrel, but we'll save that maybe for later on. But as social media is ramping up, and we have Facebook, and we have the introduction of Instagram, were you always connected to social media? Was social media always the thing that interests you?
So I was on Facebook, and when I started traveling, I started posting my travels. I would, post. This was before videos, so I was posting pictures and all the different countries that I was going to. When I was completing my PhD program, I went to maybe 25, 30 countries during that time period. And
Okay.
so folks started, really enjoying that and saying, you know what, you should be a blogger. You should, share more of this. But I didn't have the time. I'm like, I'm writing a dissertation. I'm trying
Okay.
to get my y'all. So, but that was the start,
But that
definitely.
was the start. But always connected, enjoy the feedback and the interaction that you had on social media.
Mhm.
When you were in the program at Temple, did you have a specific goal post graduation?
Yeah, so I wanted to continue teaching. I wanted
Okay.
to be a professor. I knew that I loved teaching. I was very passionate about it, and I was passionate about the subject that I taught. And so when I finished, that's what I did. I went and got a job at Stockton University,
Okay.
and I was teaching African American studies. It was great. The only problem is that they want you to write. They
Your
really,
journal
research is
articles.
the most important part. Even
Mm-hmm.
I specifically went to a teaching school because I knew I definitely didn't want to be at an R1 school.
Okay.
But even at a teaching school, that's an expectation. And after writing that dissertation, I knew that was not something that I was interested in doing long term. So I was like, you know what? I need to pivot. And so that was right after the pandemic. And
Okay.
I decided to take an adult gap year. And
Okay.
then that was the
Explain
next
to us
pivot.
about what inspired the adult game. What even tuned you in to that? To that, for me, when we talk about vision and being a visionary, so much of that comes with courage. So much of that comes with what I call blind faith, just taking a chance. And you have so many people that get settled in adulthood, and you paying the mortgage and the rent and car notes and your loan payments and all these things, but won't take that jump. And so I want to hone in on that for a moment, because that's the thing I want listeners to get. What was it? What was it that you took control? Like, nope, this is not what this is not what I want. I know it's what I said, but it's okay. Was it okay to pivot? Was that something you wrestled with? Or I know you're a Sagittarius like me, so I probably already know the answer to that. But how was that decision and that process for you?
So this was something that I initially just decided to, I need a break. I need to take some time off. I had during the pandemic, because I am a Sagittarius and I'm used to being on the go, I was sat down, I was bored. So I was working all sorts of jobs. I
Okay.
had my full-time teaching job, I had a part-time teaching job. I was working with an educational organization. I was teaching at a community space as well. So I was able to save up a lot of money and I wasn't outside.
Okay.
So I'm like, you know what? I have this money saved. I'm going to take a year off and then figure out what I want to do next. I want to travel a whole lot. I want to, just kind of have some experiences that during that dissertation writing phase, especially, I was locked in.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was not having fun. And then the pandemic was right after that. And I really
Right.
wasn't having fun. So I was like, I need some time. I need some space to just be with myself. And so that's what I decided to do. And, I executed it.
So it's like your eat, pray, love year. So it speaks. So tell me,
Mhm.
what were the countries that you traveled during that adult gap year?
So I went to Haiti first, which was absolutely loved. Absolutely loved it. People are, surprised because the current state of affairs in Haiti.
Mm-hmm.
but we went to Cap Haitian, which was safe and with a group. And so it was absolutely phenomenal. The food, the history, the nightlife, the spirituality, the nature, all of it. And then after that, I went to Senegal. Really enjoyed my time there. It's a bit of a language barrier, but I connected with folks in my travel network. So I had a great experience. Also hopped over to the Gambia, which is sort of nestled inside. Got to go to the Alex Haley Island and see
Awesome.
where his family came from.
Is this solo travel, or were you solo on these trips?
No,
Okay.
I'm not. So I've
Okay.
actually only done one solo trip that was very intentional, that I wanted to do a solo trip. But I always find people to come with me. I know
Okay.
it's a struggle for other people sometimes, but I have a good network.
Yep,
So
that's
yeah,
our
I was
personalities.
traveling
I can
with
see
different
it.
people.
When did the bright light or the vision come to turn this thing into influencing Black culture, Black bi culture? How did that transition happen?
So it happened really organically. Remember, I was telling you before, when I was traveling, I didn't have as much time. So I'm taking pictures and things like that and posting it, but I'm not doing, full out.
Mm-hmm.
And so during this time, since I don't got a job, I had time. And so I started, playing around a little bit, trying to work on taking better pictures. Now
Mm-hmm.
we're into videos and reels and things.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying my hand at that. And I started being able to work storytelling into it and really being able to highlight some of the destinations that I was going to. And also when I was home in Philly, highlighting the things that I was doing, places I was going, Black owned businesses I was supporting. And the more I did it, the more there came a demand for it. So initially, after my gap year, I was doing some diversity, equity, and inclusion consulting.
Mm-hmm.
And I was planning to move into that full time and, sort of started doing that. But then I started getting requests for content. And then people started paying me for content. So, next thing I know, here I am.
Here you are. And so explain to the listeners that may not be familiar. So talk to us a little about the collaboration and how it goes.
So it can go a number of different ways, but I recognize that Black owned businesses face a lot of challenges. And one of the challenges that they face is with resources and funds.
Mm-hmm.
And so that means they don't have the marketing and the PR that many other businesses do.
Mm-hmm.
And so being with the platform that I've built, because of the type of businesses that I support, I have an audience that is looking to support more of those businesses.
Yes.
So sometimes I'll reach out to a place that I really enjoy going to. I'll find a new business. Folks will recommend that business owners reach out to me,
Mm-hmm.
business owners that follow me and say, I like taking your recommendations. And I'm sure, your audience would love to learn about my business. So let's work together. Let's collaborate. And that's sort of how, my brand is Dr. Afia Abroad was built, with just having folks that have a need
Mm-hmm.
and wanting to be able to meet that need and to be able to provide that amplification
Mm-hmm.
that they need.
And I want people to know that, and in the age of so many things that you see on social media, and people are just all about the dollar or the bottom line. Yeah, your reviews are extremely authentic. You take so much time and care of them. They are not fluff pieces. I can tell you guys, as a Sagittarius, she is not about to say something she does not mean. And
No.
even if you're at a restaurant and you had 10 things and you only like 5, you want to talk about that 5. And so it is rooted in authenticity. And I think that's why so many people, I feel like you can feel it. You did when you did the highlight of Little Trents, for those of you who might not be in the Philadelphia area, it's in Progress Plaza, which is the first Black owned shopping center in the United States. And you learned that fact. And when you did that review, it was so amazing, the time that you put in to learn the history and now to shout that out. And so there's so much authenticity in that. And I want our listeners to know that you are a service that people need. There is a need for you and what you do, because I think people get caught up in the fast talking of people telling them how they can help them and what they can do. But you really do take your time. And so I really want to just applaud you for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's something that's really important to me. is having that authenticity that my audience knows that they can trust me. So there are times that I don't have great experiences. And one of the things that I encourage people to do, because there is that small percentage of the population that's like, I try to support Black businesses,
Know
but when
that,
I
right?
do, it's always a problem. You know, it's not as many as people think, but there's a few of them. And one of the things that I like to offer people is to understand the history, to understand why this is the case. There is a severe lack of resources that's very intentional, that comes from several hundred years of institutional racism and discrimination. That's the reason why many Black owned businesses don't have access to the systems that they need, to the the marketing that they need, to the ability to hire the employees that they need to run at the same level as a large business.
Right.
So when you do encounter those issues, I really like to encourage people to give feedback privately and give praise publicly.
Yeah.
And I think that that's one way of offering grace and remaining authentic, so that, I have the audience's trust, that I'm not just going to, talk good about whoever pays me, but I'm really trying to help and trying to amplify businesses that are doing the right thing and trying to help those that need it.
And I think that's what it is. And I want people to sit there, because I don't know why it's so easy for us to do that to Black owned businesses. They do something one time, they don't get it wrong. But I mean, I can't tell you the amount of times that I've been to a Target or a Macy's, or, stopped at a fast food place and it was wrong. And I've been back. So it is a certain grace in there that we need to give. And I think that's important. I love when you say, I was 3 generations, or you talk about the mother or the father, the grandmother who started it and what they did, because I think those things are key and important. And it doesn't mean because it's Black owned that there's not, a certain level of sophistication or customer satisfaction, but just the fact that we are so hard on each other. I just like that you take time to do that. I would like for you to just share with the listeners, why is it important to take time to find Black owned businesses?
In any community, the majority of the support comes from within, but we're one of we just have a very unique history, and that it took us so long to have the right to be able to patronize other businesses, that we saw it as this prize and we put it on a pedestal.
Okay.
And once we had the ability and the opportunity to, patronize, to go to the Macy's and the Dilworths and, all of these places, we were so excited to be able to do so that we stopped supporting our own businesses.
Yeah.
And so we're really the first customer base that needs to do that. And so it's very important that we seek out and that we find them and that we're intentional about supporting them, because every other community is.
Right.
And, there's no issue. It's not even a question, and it's a matter of proximity. You usually support the people that are in your community that are closest to you. And we have to be able to do that. But because of the anti-Blackness that is pervasive in all of society,
Right.
including
Exactly.
our own community, that's buried in some of us, we don't see them as quite as good sometimes. And so, we kind of skip over it, or when we're having a special occasion, that's not the first thing that we think of. That's not the first place we think of going to celebrate. We want something, nicer. So it's important. We got to do it. We got to get better. We are doing it, but we have to be more intentional about doing it.
I love that. And just from the brand that you have created, I'm curious, being able to carry out a vision, to see it through, what are some of the things that you do to keep yourself going in a tough moment?
There are definitely tough moments. Being an entrepreneur for the first time, after, having a stable job and stable career for 15, 20 years, has been a bit of a challenge. And there's definitely those ebbs and flows. Last couple months ago, I was in a tough spot.
Yeah, I got you.
So I think that one of the things that I found that's important, honing in on my priorities, understanding what the focus is, and setting up a plan. And so, I had that thought, like, do I need to go and get a job? Like, is this what I need to do? And if it comes to that point, I don't have a problem with that. I'm not, so mired in what I want to do that I'm not able to pivot and shift. But I said, listen, here's the goal, here's the plan, and this is the timeline that I'm allotting myself to achieve this. If it
Okay.
doesn't happen by then I'm a pivot. I'm gonna figure something else out. It might be another branch of entrepreneurship. It might be going back, on plantation,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm gonna figure something out.
Been there, done that. I understand. Yeah. But I think that's always the important thing for me. Like I just want people to win. I want people to take a chance. I don't care if you fall flat on your face. I never really looked at it as I never looked at vision or being a visionary as a gift. I don't know. And I don't know if I know you can understand me, but I love having a Sagittarius here to talk to because I think we have very exploring personalities. We are super spontaneous and just will jump. I have tried 100 zillion different things and I will keep on trying. And I guess because I wasn't in a space in life, I didn't know how to celebrate myself, but I never looked at that. That is a real gift. You have people who are extremely paralyzed that they think of all the things that could go wrong and never think about what could go right or what could happen. And so I would want to know when people look at you, when people hear your story, what do you think are some qualities that resonate with you when you think about being a visionary to carry out that vision?
I think that one is the ability to shift and pivot. And that's something that we all learned and, sort of grew into with the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
But just having that flexibility, having an openness, having a natural curiosity are all
Mm-hmm.
things that are very, very important to that journey of being a visionary and of letting the vision evolve, having a plan, but still, being open to letting the vision evolve. Because some of the things that I'm
Ooh,
doing now,
say that again. To letting the vision what?
letting the vision evolve,
Ooh, because you know
letting it
sometimes we
grow.
stand and hold on to what we thought it was supposed
Mhm.
to be, and we're stuck. And the reason is because it's changed. You got to be
It's
open to how it's changed. I love
Yes,
that.
circumstances change, you change, the world changes. So adaptability is really key. Because some of the things that I'm doing now weren't even part of my dream. When I was
Right.
younger, getting a PhD was never part of the plan. Like
Okay.
I was just, my goal was to be a teacher, and that was it.
I got
And
you.
and then I realized that I could have more.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized that I could have it all. And I really truly believe that. And that's how I live my life.
Yeah, and I feel like it shines through. I love seeing you when I first started following you. Trust me, I have helped you because I have forwarded so many things that you're like, did you know this was here? Did you know they were doing this? Did you know that they were having this? And so I want to get specific for a second to Philadelphia and the surrounding area, Delaware, Jersey, specifically. You have been so great for the culture, for Black culture. And even, we talk a lot on the podcast. We love to celebrate the generation and the Gen Zers and the millennials and the Gen Xers like myself. You've been so great for the culture about sharing different things, what's going on, what's happening, greatly contributing to Philadelphia Black culture and what's going on. But I would like to talk for a minute. How do you think since the pandemic, how do you think we have grown or not grown in spaces of being able to find something to do as a Black person in the Philadelphia area?
Well, in the Philadelphia area specifically, I think things have exponentially grown. And I was having this conversation with a friend of mine that does events
Mm-hmm.
where there weren't this many options a little while ago. There are so many things and so many options that folks didn't know that's right in their neighborhood, that's right on the other side of town.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that there's more than we know, but I think that there are some opportunities, particularly the Gen X space. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of those folks, they are buying property, owning businesses. They done sent their kids off to college. And so, they're relaxing, and there are more opportunities to create things
Mm-hmm.
in that generation and for that generation.
Mm-hmm.
In the queer community, I'm seeing a flowering. There are tons of things to do, lots of businesses being created. There's always space for more, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely seeing an increase in the past few years. So, and really, I think that I've been thinking about this recently, and I received an issue of Crown Magazine that had this in it, and it just clicked for me that we're in a artistic renaissance right now. I had not thought about that. And
Yeah.
thinking back, and just thinking about what's going on in this city and beyond, in places like Houston and LA
The
and New
things
York
that you can
City.
do. You could go to selfie museums. You could go to
Yes.
plant making parties. You could go to sip and paint parties. You could go to rock climbing parties. I mean, you name it.
Yes, and it's being done by our community, which is something that's new, and we have access to it. We have more disposable income. We are generating new things and creating new things because there's so many things. People are trying to find a twist and put their own flavor on it. So I really appreciate being in this time period and realizing it now, because I used to always wonder, did the people in the Harlem Renaissance know
That it
that
was
this
the
was the
Harlem
Harlem
Renaissance,
Renaissance?
right?
Right.
I have to share a quick story. When I was writing out the podcast and who I wanted to have on, you were on my list. You were on my list. And
Oh.
I randomly sent people on the list, inboxes on Instagram or find an email. And, people were saying yes and doing whatever and response. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I could not send you a message. I don't know why. I just was like, I was like, well, send a message, send a message. I'm like, oh, send a message. And then,
Even after we met?
no, this was before. So I'm telling you the
Okay,
story that happened before. And
okay.
and one of my clients, shout out to Little Trent, he calls me one day. He was like, a sponsor just came in here, raise, I'll send your Instagram page later. And he sends it. And I'm like, damn, like, like, well, when's she coming? And I come down and so great meeting you. It was just a really great experience, right? And for those of you listening, Dr. Afia, who I know Christina now, we're in a book club, right? And so then we get into the book club and we get to know each other. And our book club took a life of its own. I
Mm,
absolutely love you guys. We have created such a safe space for one another. So then
yeah.
I thought, well, I don't want to ask her because now we're in the safe space and I don't want to be bugging her. She has all this stuff going on. So then I'm like, I don't know that I was like, oh, the right time will come. I kind of just put it in the back of my head. And then I'm going through Instagram one day. You're in your stories. You're like, oh my God, I just did a podcast. I love podcasts. I want to be on a podcast. So let me know. I'm like, say less. When do you want to be on? And so I wanted to share it with you. Like, we talk about manifestation and different things a lot. And so before it even was, I love the way it organically came together. Not that it was a big deal anyway, but I just love the path that it has taken. So shout out to you and our cosmic connection.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that. That is so funny, but I love it, and I'm
Yeah.
so glad that it brought us to this moment.
It did. It really did. And so before we close out, I want people to know, we're going to share your social media, but I want people to know, if you are a Black owned business, if you know someone has a Black owned business, and I don't want you guys just to think brick and mortars and storefronts. If it's a mobile business, if it's a Black product you have or a service that you give, I think Christina is what the culture needs. And so I would love for you to share with our listeners a little about how they can collaborate with you and what they need to do or can do.
Yeah. My niche is really food, travel, and experiences. And so anything that's in that or related to that, I'm the person for that. And so people can reach out to me at collabs at drafiaabroad.com and just sort of share, what it is that you do and what your vision is. And then we can come up with something. Marketing and promotion happens on Instagram. And so typically I'll try, I'll experience, and then I'll share my experience with my audience and, let them know that there's this amazing Black owned business that you can support, and here's how to support them. So it's just been so absolutely wonderful. Recently, I worked with African Restaurant Week. And that was just such an amazing collaboration. I work with a lot of festivals. I work with a lot of restaurants, boutiques, everything, you name
I'm
it.
telling you, I've seen you do nail shops. I've seen you do massages and
Yes,
facials, clothing, African Black owned clothing stores. You have been braiding salons. You have covered so many things. That's been so great. I have so many things saved for you. I have like a whole little folder of things that I saved. And so I hope that people please pass this information along, share it, because I do want you to speak a little bit about is it Burger John? And that collaboration, and share a little bit and give listeners just an example of the numbers and the impact that you've had.
Yeah, so the Burger John was it was absolutely wonderful collaboration. The owner Q reached out to me because his wife follows my Instagram, and she was like, "Listen, you need to reach out to Dr. Afia. He had a great product, great food. He opened this shop and it was struggling. It was, kind of off. It was right off of a main road, but it's not visible from the road. So people don't know that he's there. He's having to close the business and go back to his, job tattooing to pay the bills and then come back. So he asked me to come out. I came out, tried his food, and it was amazing. It would like literally everything was good. And so that's one of those things where when I have an absolutely amazing experience, I'm able to translate that
You
through
can
the
tell.
story.
You can tell.
And so I was excited about that. And I went through, I did my editing and everything, and I put it up, and it pretty much went viral that night. He woke up, went to work the next, all these people were messaging him at night, blowing his phone up, and he's like, "What's going on?" And the next morning there was a line waiting for him when he opened up the shop.
I love it. Come on,
And,
Keith Lee.
and that's the dream. But yeah, it was absolutely incredible. He was able to hire employees, extend his store hours, and really just get all he needed was some exposure because he already had
Right.
the product. Happened with Irie Entree as well. They had their new brunch. That one hit over 1 million, and they were slammed. Sometimes those things happen. Not all my videos go viral.
Yeah.
It
But
happens
people
pretty
learn.
regularly
People
now.
learn. How does that moment feel for you when it's 1 million views? What is that feeling? Because like you shared a video that was so inspiring. I sent it to a friend. I sent it to a few friends of mine. I was like, and not that you guys want to be, influencers. I said, but just let this story speak to you. And you showed the numbers of like where you were a year ago with followers to where you are now, just celebrating. What are those moments like when you start off with maybe less than 1,000 followers, and you look up and across your platforms you have like 75,000 followers that rely on you and look to you to help them with Black culture?
I mean, it's absolutely amazing. And it's because of people like you that are seeing the stuff and sharing it, because that's the biggest thing. And for folks that are getting into content creating, you want to make content that is shareable, that's relatable and shareable. And just the support from the community has been overwhelming when I go out places, and, people are just like, "Thank you. I appreciate your content. I supported this business because you said it. I went to this event," and it just feels absolutely amazing. And I think that it touches a part of me that has always been there. That's part of the reason why I went into teaching, because I want to have impact on people's lives, and being able to do that and receive that feedback, kind of immediately is very, very gratifying. And I'm so thankful for that.
And you're still educating and teaching us, and we love it. But getting to the good part, tell us what you have going on. You actually have an opportunity where followers can get to travel with you abroad. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, it is my first. People have been asking me for years, when can we come with you? And half those people don't mean it. But now I have an opportunity to see who really means it,
Okay.
because I'm doing my first group trip to celebrate my 40th birthday. We are going to Egypt. And it's absolutely serendipitous because I wrote about Egypt and traveled to Egypt in my dissertation. I wanted to go after I finished, and the pandemic happened. And so now to finally be able to have the opportunity to do that around my 40th birthday, and to bring people with me, my family, my friends, people who, you know, want to travel. And so I am just so absolutely grateful and thankful to be able to do that. And I'm looking forward. I can't wait.
And so they'll be able to look on your Instagram page and find a link to see how they may join you on the Egypt trip. I think that's really dope. So, Dr. Afia, before I let you get out of here, I would love to know, it is summertime, it's Philly, we want to be outside. What are businesses that we can support to enjoy this good summertime fun?
Okay, so I'm gonna say that so first you gotta get right. So for your beauty,
okay,
I have Bossy Brows. I just got my eyebrows microbladed today.
They
They're
look
looking
beautiful.
fabulous.
Bossy Brows. Okay.
Yes, Bossy Brows in Bala Kenwood, and also Femi Spa in Old City. Get your facials, get your skin right for the summer.
Okay.
For food, there are so many of them. It's African Restaurant Week. There's a ton of restaurants to support. Go down to Southwest Philly. There are a ton of those small
Yes.
pop restaurants. Emma's Liberian is one of my favorites. Aki Tree Jamaican, Kingston 11. There's a
11 is my spot.
all in one area. And then for entertainment, I got to shout out Kabila Events. I just went to their Rose Day party. It was the best event I've been to so far this year. And they have a Culture Fest coming up and the Philly Black Wine Festival coming up in September.
I love it. We love you, Dr. Afia. Thank you so much. I absolutely adore you, and I appreciate you lending your time. You're so great to talk with, and we're talking about you as a visionary, but I want you guys to know, like, you name a subject and she could carry a conversation on with it, and it is super good. And so one day we'll have to have you back to have one of those talks that we have sometimes we are just sitting around at book club, because we explore so many different subjects.
Yeah, that's for another time.
And you keep me researching and studying on plenty of things, and I appreciate it. So if you have anything left in that glass, let's cheers it up for what was a great episode. Cheers. Well, there you have it, sippers. Another visionary sip, another great chat. I want to thank Dr. Afia again. I really enjoyed learning about her journey. I think one of the big takeaways for me was that pivoting. That pivoting piece is very important. It's very easy to get connected to what you think your life is supposed to be, or this plan that you have mapped out. But we have to remember that sometimes you get there and the plan changes, the passion changes, your dreams change, and we have to have the courage to be able to move with that and roll with that. Remember to follow us on social media at S.E.T Talk Podcast. Share with us, comment on our posts, let us know how you enjoyed the episode. Remember to follow Dr. Afia on social media and learn more. I can't stress this enough. Connect with her if you're a Black-owned business, if you know someone that has a Black-owned business, about a collaboration. She's just amazing. Her integrity is great, and it's such a thorough review, and I think a lot of the businesses can benefit from the exposure. Also, remember to click on the link and follow her on social media to learn more about her Egypt excursion if you'd like to join in on the travel fun. To get your S.E.T Talk charcuterie board, they will be available this Friday for ordering. I want you guys to enjoy them. So remember to click on the link in the description or visit us at www.siptalklife.com. I'm thankful for anybody that takes time to tune in and join me. I appreciate my sipper community. And remember, life is too short for bad vibes and bad drinks. So keep sipping, keep chatting, and always remember, life is a journey, but it's better with a sip and a chat. Until next time, cheers. Thank you, sippers, for joining the S.E.T podcast, where we sip, eat, talk. If you've enjoyed our flavorful conversations, don't miss out on future episodes. Subscribe now and follow us on Instagram, at YouTube, at Sip, Eat, Talk Podcast. Let's continue to sip, eat, and talk together. Until next time, cheers.